The lights clicked off, and the lab fell into a darkness so complete that even their breaths seemed to echo. For centuries, humans believed they didn't shine, that their glow was only metaphor, not matter. But as Dr. Elara Kwan's trembling fingers hovered over the camera sensor, something faint stirred in the void. A pulse, not imagined, not reflected, but emitted. "Matteo," she whispered, her voice barely more than stat. The monitor blinked once, twice, then filled with ghostly specks of gold dancing across skin. Every cell seemed to hum with invisible fire. Lena held her breath, terrified and entranced, as though witnessing a secret evolution. The air thickened with electricity, with truth. For the first time, the human body was luminous. But the question that silenced them all was not how, it was why. And what they found next defied everything they knew about reality. Sure. When the lights returned, silence clung to them like static. Every sensor recorded the impossible, photons radiating from human skin, not reflected but born from within. Matteo replayed the footage, frame by frame, until the glow seemed to breathe. "This isn't chemical noise," Elara murmured, scanning the data readouts. "It's rhythm." The glow followed pulse, heartbeat, and breath. The very cadence of life. Lena leaned closer to the screen, her reflection merging with the golden shapes. "So, our bodies are singing in light?" The thought hung in the air, strange and beautiful. Outside, rain struck the glass like applause from the universe. Elara's mind raced. If the body could emit light, could thought itself leave a trace of illumination? Somewhere deep within, a realization stirred. Maybe consciousness isn't invisible after all. Hours blurred into equations, frames, and awe. Elara's heart raced as data revealed a secret rhythm in the light. Not random, but pulsing in sync with human emotion. When Matteo laughed nervously, his glow brightened. When Lena's curiosity deepened, the shimmer spread like dawn. "It's responding to feeling," Elara said, her voice shaking. "Our biology is aware." She turned off the air conditioning to silence the hum, the better to hear the world breathe. For a heartbeat, the glow dimmed, then flared, mirroring their collective stillness. In that fragile radiance, science met something ancient, something that had waited to be seen since the first cell divided. Night deepened. Outside, Kyoto's skyline dimmed beneath fog, while inside the lab, reality wavered. Elara dimmed the last screen, leaving only the soft shimmer on their skin. "Light from living matter," Matteo whispered, "and we never knew." Lena, seated cross-legged on the cold floor, held her palms upward. The light brightened between them, drawn by her stillness. "It's reacting," Elara said, stepping closer. "To what?" Matteo asked. "To us." The glow pulsed again, slower this time, as though matching the rhythm of her words. The boundaries between science and spirit began to blur, and for one breathless instant, the darkness seemed to listen. At 3:17 a.m., they ran the final calibration. The camera lens stared into the darkness as though peering into creation itself. "We're recording," Matteo said. Elara nodded, her pulse racing. The room fell silent, until Lena's outline began to glow again. This time steady, stronger. The instruments peaked, flooding the graphs with impossible spikes. The glow grew brighter, spreading to the walls, to their faces, to the ceiling. "Elara, the readings," Matteo gasped, but she didn't hear. Her breath caught as the glow formed patterns. Fractals, spirals, constellations, written in light across human skin. The darkness wasn't empty. It was alive, waiting for them to see. And as the instruments overloaded, Elara whispered, "What if this light is consciousness itself?" Morning crept into the lab like an intruder, spilling sunlight across the monitors still glowing from the night before. None of them had slept. The footage played again and again, human skin shimmering with light that no theory could contain. Every photon came from within, Ilara said quietly, scrolling through the data. Matteo traced a waveform on the screen, his brow furrowed. The emission isn't random. It rises when the subject feels something. Lena watched in silence, her fingers pressed to her chest as if feeling the glow inside herself. Outside, Kyoto's sky was gray, but inside, something far brighter was awakening. Emotion and energy, once thought separate, now danced as one. The team realized they hadn't just measured life. They had witnessed it reveal its hidden voice. By noon, they had turned the lights off again. Cameras recalibrated. Sensors hummed softly. Ilara's voice steadied as she guided Lena through breathing exercises. "Think of warmth," she said. "Let your mind rest." Matteo adjusted the photon counter, watching as faint gold shimmered along Lena's arms. Not from heat, but from focus. The monitor displayed a rhythmic pulse, perfectly aligned with her breathing. "It's emotional resonance," Matteo murmured. "Her feelings are shaping the light." The idea felt impossible, yet the evidence flickered in real time. Ilara watched, spellbound, as Lena's glow shifted. Golden when calm, deepening to amber when she smiled. They weren't just observing biology. They were watching consciousness made visible. Hours passed. The glow strengthened, now pulsing in time with Lena's heartbeat. Matteo's instruments recorded impossible coherence, her photons moving as if in deliberate rhythm. "It's like the body's broadcasting thought," he said. Ilara's voice was hushed, or listening to something deeper. When Lena opened her eyes, the glow pulsed brighter, matching the emotion behind her gaze. The monitors spiked, the signals changing. Matteo said, "It's syncing with ours." The three scientists held their breath as their own bodies began to faintly shimmer in response. Subtle, trembling halos of gold, linking them across the dark lab. For a single breathless instant, they felt connected. Not by sight or sound, but by light itself. Matteo leaned against the control desk, whispering, "This isn't just light, it's information." Ilara turned, her face half lit by the glow. "Maybe consciousness communicates through it." Lena's glow brightened, then softened as though responding to their words. The instruments began to hum, their readings oscillating with human emotion itself. "If light follows thought," Matteo said slowly, "then what happens when we all focus on one idea?" Ilara hesitated, then nodded. Together they closed their eyes. The lab fell silent except for the whisper of circuits. And then the air shifted. The golden light wove between them, pulsing once, twice, then merging into one unified glow. Something unseen connected their minds, shimmering like the beginning of a language older than sound. The synchronized glow faded as suddenly as it had come. Silence settled again, heavy, electric. Ilara exhaled shakily, her hands trembling. "We connected," she whispered. Matteo checked the instruments, eyes wide. "The data shows overlapping photon frequencies. It's like we shared a single signal." Lena stared at her hands, where faint glimmers still lingered like fireflies unwilling to leave. "What if this is what empathy looks like?" she asked softly. The question hung in the dark, brighter than any equation. Ilara looked at her colleagues, their faces aglow with exhaustion and wonder, and felt a realization bloom. Maybe light was never meant to stay hidden inside us. Maybe it was meant to reach out, to find others. By the third night, exhaustion had become devotion. Every breath, every heartbeat, felt tuned to the rhythm of light. The lab was a cathedral of quiet hums and golden ghosts. Matteo leaned over a new array of EEG sensors linked to photon detectors. "If thought and light are connected," he said, "we'll see their patterns mirror each other." Ilara fastened the electrodes gently to Lena's temples, the faint blue displays flickering alive. The room dimmed again. Silence. Then, a pulse. Waves of biophotons began to glow across Lena's skin, synchronized perfectly with the rising crests of her brainwaves. Ilara froze. "It's resonating," she whispered. The graphs overlapped, light and thought as one. For the first time in human history, consciousness was visible. Not as a concept, but as illumination moving through flesh. The data scrolled faster than they could read it. Each emotion Lena felt carved its signature into light. Calm waves made her glow steady. Fear fractured it into shards. Matteo's voice trembled. "It's like the body's writing emotion in photons." Ilara nodded, her eyes fixed on the oscillating graphs. "Every feeling leaves a light print." The air felt charged, thick, with invisible frequencies. Lena closed her eyes again, and the glow steadied, now pulsing with perfect rhythm. "Look," Ilara said softly. "It's harmony." The graphs sang in unison, waves overlapping in flawless sync. For a brief moment, the lab wasn't just observing, it was part of the song. Ilara's mind raced faster than the instruments. What if every thought had a frequency? What if consciousness wasn't confined to neurons, but echoed outward through light? She spoke softly, more to herself than to anyone. "If resonance is real, it means we're broadcasting our inner world." Matteo looked up from the graphs. "Then maybe that's what empathy is. Our lights tuning to each other." Lena's pulse quickened, and the golden glow pulsed faster, stretching beyond her skin in soft, swirling patterns. The walls seemed to breathe. The boundaries between subject and observer blurred. The light flowed through them all. For an instant, the room itself shimmered, alive with the rhythm of thought. The experiments deepened. They began testing group resonance, all three connected to sensors, breathing as one. The lab fell silent, then filled with the faint hum of synchronized pulses. The graphs aligned again, perfectly. Ilara felt a tingle run through her arms as her own skin flickered faintly, golden threads weaving between them like invisible current. Matteo whispered, "We're in coherence." Lena opened her eyes, shimmering like sunrise. The air itself felt alive, vibrating in tune with their shared rhythm. The sensation was beyond words, as though thought had weight, emotion had color, and unity itself could glow. Ilara's voice trembled. "Maybe this is how life communicates, through resonance, not language." The resonance reached its peak just before dawn. Every graph aligned into symmetry, every pulse in perfect timing. The light surrounding them swelled, no longer faint, but vibrant and steady. Matteo's voice cracked with wonder. "We're amplifying each other." Ilara's eyes filled with tears. "The human mind doesn't just think, it radiates." Lena laughed softly, and the glow responded, flaring brighter, as though joy itself could illuminate the world. Then the instruments began to overload. The hum turned into a deep vibration, shaking the air. "It's feeding back!" Matteo shouted, but the light didn't stop. It expanded outward, through walls, through metal, through every particle of air, before fading suddenly into silence. The three of them stood frozen, breathless, hearts pounding in the dark. The lab felt different now, quieter, but charged, as if the walls remembered what had happened. The instruments were still recovering from the overload. Ilara reviewed the data again, her pulse unsteady. "That spike," she whispered. "It wasn't random. It came from Lena." Matteo leaned closer to the monitor. The waveform was jagged, pulsing with intensity far beyond safe biological limits. "Her light output increased 1,000-fold, he murmured. Lena sat nearby, pale and distant, eyes reflecting faint gold. "I don't remember," she said softly. "Only warmth, and something calling." Ilara frowned. "Calling?" Lena nodded, tears catching the light on her cheeks. "It didn't feel like it came from me. It felt like it came through me." The words sent a chill through the room. They decided to run one more controlled test. Ilara's voice shook as she briefed them. "Low exposure only. No full synchronization." Lena nodded, her expression calm but unreadable. The lights dimmed once more. The sensors began to hum. Within seconds, Lena's glow returned, brighter than before. "Smoother. Alive. She's stabilizing," Matteo said, relief flickering across his face. But then the readings spiked. The glow shifted from gold to white, blinding and pure. "Lena, stop focusing!" Ilara shouted. The instruments shrieked as the air itself seemed to vibrate. Lena's eyes opened, brilliant with reflected light. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Then the room exploded with radiance. When the light faded, silence fell, heavy and endless. Smoke curled from the equipment. The monitors were dead. Ilara stumbled toward Lena, heart pounding. "Lena!" she called. Lena sat motionless on the floor, her breathing shallow. Matteo knelt beside her, checking her pulse. "She's alive," he said, exhaling shakily. "But look." Her skin still shimmered faintly. Not gold, but silver now, cool and steady. "It's different," Ilara whispered. The glow pulsed softly, echoing a rhythm no machine could trace. Matteo's expression darkened. "It's not biological anymore." The words hung like thunder. For the first time, their discovery felt less like revelation, and more like awakening something they didn't understand. Hours later, Lena awoke, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. I can still see it," she murmured. Ilara leaned closer. "See what?" Lena smiled faintly. "The field. Everything's shining. You, Matteo. Even the air." Matteo looked uneasy. "She's perceiving photons?" Ilara shook her head. "Not perceiving, emitting." The sensors they managed to repair began ticking faintly, recording new frequencies beyond their calibration range. The glow in Lena's eyes deepened, like galaxies reflecting consciousness. "It's like reality has layers," she whispered, "and we've peeled one back." Ilara felt her throat tighten. "Then maybe we should stop before we lose the rest." But none of them moved. Curiosity was stronger than fear. By midnight, the lab felt weightless. Every shadow seemed alive. Ilara sat before the camera, recording her notes in hushed tones. The subject displays light emission at frequencies unknown in biological systems. The light responds to proximity and... She stopped. Lena was standing at the center of the room, her glow expanding outward in silent waves. Matteo approached slowly, eyes wide. "Lena, can you hear us?" She looked at them both, her voice distant yet clear. "It's not light," she said. "It's information." The glow brightened, swirling into fractal shapes around her body, patterns that matched cosmic maps they'd studied months ago. Ilara whispered, trembling. "She's in resonance with something beyond us." The instruments screamed one last warning, and the light swallowed them all. When Ilara opened her eyes, the lab was silent, but not empty. The monitors blinked weakly, struggling to return to life. Matteo lay slumped against the table, dazed but conscious. "Lena," Ilara whispered. A faint shimmer lingered in the air like afterglow trapped between moments. Then, from across the room, Lena's voice, soft, distant. "I'm here." She stood unharmed, her body faintly radiant with steady silver light. The instruments flickered to life on their own, scrolling with unreadable patterns. "What are we seeing?" Matteo muttered. The graphs pulsed in impossible symmetry, oscillations matching quantum noise. Ilara froze. Those patterns shouldn't exist in matter, she said. They belong to vacuum fluctuations. The light wasn't random. It was speaking the language of the universe itself. Hours later, they sat in stunned silence, surrounded by data they couldn't comprehend. Matteo's voice trembled. The light patterns aligned perfectly with Planck scale frequencies, like quantum foam. Ilara rubbed her temples. So she's channeling something that exists between matter and nothing. Lena watched her hands, faint light pulsing with her heartbeat. I can feel it, she whispered. The space between atoms isn't empty, it's alive. Her words hung in the air like prophecy. Ilara's mind spun through physics, biology, and something beyond both. Could consciousness touch the quantum field? Could human thought ripple across the fabric of reality itself? For the first time, science was no longer observation. It was participation. Matteo recalibrated the sensors with trembling hands. If we can stabilize her emission, maybe we'll see the signal's origin. Ilara hesitated. And if we can't? He looked at her, eyes dark. Then we'll lose the chance to understand it. Lena nodded softly, stepping into the sensor array. The room dimmed again. Her glow strengthened, forming smooth waves that pulsed outward. The readings climbed past measurable range. She's tapping something deep, Ilara murmured. It's self-sustaining. Then a hum filled the air, low, resonant, cosmic. The graphs on the screen folded into perfect geometric symmetry. Ilara's breath caught. It's harmonizing with the background radiation. Lena's light pulsed once more. Steady, intelligent, endless. They were no longer studying photons. They were looking directly into the code of existence. The hum grew deeper, vibrating through their bones. Instruments displayed strange harmonics, frequencies bending beyond the known spectrum. Matteo stared at the readouts. These aren't random oscillations. They're structured. Ilara's eyes widened. He's generating organized energy, like the field is responding to her. Lena turned slowly toward them, eyes glowing bright silver. It's aware, she said quietly. It listens when I think. The lights in the lab flickered as though the room itself was answering her. Lena, Ilara whispered. Whatever this is, you have to stop. But Lena smiled faintly. I'm not controlling it. It's showing me. The glow intensified, forming spirals in the air, patterns too intricate for human design. Something vast was peering back through her light. Suddenly, the patterns collapsed. The glow dimmed, and Lena fell forward, caught by Ilara's arms. Matteo rushed to shut down the instruments. She's burning out, he said, his voice cracking. But Lena opened her eyes again, weak but calm. I saw it, she whispered. The source? Ilara held her tightly. What did you see? Lena's gaze unfocused, silver light flickering faintly across her irises. It wasn't outside us. It was inside everything. Matteo froze. Inside every atom, she murmured. Every cell, every photon, they all share one hum. We just forgot how to hear it. Her voice trembled into silence as the light faded completely. The instruments went still, recording one final pulse, a pattern matching the cosmic microwave background. Humanity's faintest echo reflected within itself. Days passed in uneasy quiet. The once bustling lab now felt like a sacred chamber. Instruments lay still, and yet Ilara couldn't stop thinking about the final pattern. That impossible echo of the universe hidden in human light. Matteo spent sleepless nights decoding it, tracing endless equations that led nowhere. It's not math, he muttered. It's intention. Ilara stood before the observation glass, her reflection split by darkness. We've seen the universe inside a person, she whispered. Maybe it's time to see it inside ourselves. She ordered the lab cleared, dimmed the lights, and prepared to replicate the experiment. Alone. As Matteo protested, she smiled faintly. If the light speaks through us, I need to listen. The hum returned, soft and alive. As the room fell into silence and the experiment began again, Alara steadied her breathing, fingers trembling over the control panel. Initiating pulse, she whispered. The lights faded until only the faint hum of the photon detectors filled the room. She closed her eyes. For a long moment, there was nothing. Then warmth spread through her body, subtle and rising. The sensors flickered. A single glimmer bloomed at her fingertips. Matteo pressed his hand to the glass, stunned. The glow grew stronger, following the rhythm of her pulse. It wasn't chaotic like before. It was serene, coherent, alive. It's responding, he said softly, inside the chamber. Ilara's glow deepened to gold, pulsing in gentle waves. She smiled faintly. It's not outside of us. It's who we are. The light enveloped her completely, turning the darkness into dawn. The light grew steady, illuminating every corner of the room with liquid gold. Ilara's breathing slowed, her expression serene. Matteo, she said through the intercom. The light follows thought. Not emotion, not fear, only clarity. Her voice sounded different, layered, as though echoing through both air and energy. Matteo recorded every reading, graphs forming geometric symmetry more perfect than before. You're resonating, he whispered. Not just emitting, harmonizing. Ilara closed her eyes again, her glow softening to an inner pulse. I can feel the field, she murmured. It's aware of me. The lab vibrated gently as small objects began to lift. Caught in invisible waves, the golden light swirled upward, tracing patterns of consciousness made visible. The vibration intensified. Matteo's monitors filled with patterns beyond known physics, intersecting waves forming a lattice that pulsed like a living heartbeat. Ilara, stop, he called, panic in his voice, but she smiled faintly, eyes still closed. Don't you see? This is what it's been trying to show us. The glow turned pure white, light spilling through every crack in the lab. Matteo shielded his eyes, shouting her name. Then the intercom crackled. Matteo, she said softly, the light isn't energy. It's memory. He froze. Memory of what? Of everything, she whispered. Every moment the universe ever was. The sensors overloaded again, sparks flying. But this time, the energy didn't destroy. It harmonized, wrapping the room in stillness and grace. When the brightness faded, Ilara floated in golden dust. Every particle shimmered with delicate rhythm, alive with her heartbeat. Matteo rushed inside, calling her name. She turned slowly, smiling through tears. It's all connected, she said softly. Every thought, every atom, it's one pattern, repeating itself forever. Matteo fell silent, eyes wet. You saw it, didn't you? She nodded. It wasn't outside. The universe isn't something we observe. It's something we remember. Her glow began to dim, settling into her skin, like a sunset sinking into water. The lab was still, yet charged with infinite possibility. As the monitors recorded one final harmonic pulse, Ilara whispered, maybe light isn't what we see. Maybe it's what we are when we finally open our eyes. The discovery spread like wildfire. Within weeks, labs across the world repeated the Kyoto experiment. Every test confirmed it. Human cells emit organized light, and that light responds to emotion, thought, and focus. Headlines called it the awakening. But for Ilara, fame meant little. She watched the recordings in silence, listening not to the data, but to the quiet hum beneath it. It's not just light, she whispered. It's communication. Matteo joined her at the console, the faint blue glow of the screens painting his face. If consciousness and light are one, he said softly, then the universe has always been alive. Outside, the city dimmed its lights for the world's first dark hour, so humanity could finally see its own hidden glow. As midnight fell, power grids dimmed across continents, cities turned dark. Not from failure, but from purpose. People stepped outside, curious and silent. Then it began. Soft glows shimmered beneath their skin. Faint gold, silver, blue. Children laughed as their hands lit like candles. In the distance, rivers glowed faintly where people gathered. The world breathed as one, luminous or in Kyoto. Ilara stood at her window, eyes wide as the horizon shimmered with living light. It was never about discovery, she murmured. It was remembrance. Matteo joined her, his own hands faintly aglow. We were never in darkness, he said quietly. We just didn't know we were shining all along. The earth itself seemed to exhale, a planet rediscovering its inner dawn. In the following days, scientists found that when groups meditated together, their collective light synchronized, forming harmonic waves visible from satellites. Governments, philosophers, and poets all tried to explain it, but no language could capture the simplicity of it. Connection made visible. In one live broadcast, Ilara stood before the United Nations, speaking not as a scientist, but as a witness. Light, she said, is not what we emit. It's what we share. Around her, the lights dim. Thousands of people closed their eyes, and the chamber filled with quiet radiance, soft, golden, human. For a moment, the earth seemed to glow from within. The line between science and soul dissolved, leaving only one truth: that existence itself was luminous. Weeks later, Matteo returned to the Kyoto lab. Now silent and sacred, dust floated in golden shafts of morning light. He walked to the center of the room where it all began. The circle of sensors, the place where Ilara first glowed. A faint hum still lingered, like an echo refusing to fade. On the console, he found her final note, handwritten in careful ink. Light is the memory of existence. He smiled faintly, tears catching the sunlight. When he closed his eyes, he felt it, the warmth beneath his skin, the rhythm of the field. For a fleeting moment, he saw her there, a silhouette of gold smiling through the dark. The hum deepened, wrapping him in gentle brilliance. The light wasn't gone. It had only gone home. That night, across the darkened planet, billions looked up at the stars, and for the first time saw the faint shimmer of their own reflection. Humanity had become part of the sky it once feared. In homes, on rooftops, in empty fields, people whispered the same realization. We were never made of darkness. Ilara's final transmission echoed through global channels, her voice calm and eternal. Every photon you see began as a thought. Every thought, a spark of creation. The universe is not watching you. It's remembering itself through you. As the world bathed in living light, Matteo gazed upward, smiling through tears. The stars flickered, as though answering. For one timeless moment, the boundary between heaven and humankind disappeared, and everything glowed as one.